too much pain, so we both don't want it. The love went toxic, now it's hey, 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 it's okay, hey, hey. And we're not in love, we know the time has come. I can't stay, hey, hey, I'm away, hey, hey. I died inside, left here all on my own. Our love was done with the fate that you wrote. I tried, but why'd you like to hurt me though? You say I'm too fake and I'm just a joke. Hey, I'm the bad guy here to save the day. I'm a superhero but in my own way. How you could never see it was a damn shame. It's too much pain, so we both don't want it. The love went toxic, now it's hey, 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 it's okay, hey, hey. And we're not in love, we know the time has come. I can't stay, hey, hey, I'm away, hey, hey. So I'm gone now, both of us just lost out on the best thing ever. Hope you find someone better today. This way is not so much pain, and it's a-okay that we both have changed, babe. Hey, I'm the bad guy here to save the day. I'm a superhero but in my own way. How you could never see it was a damn shame. It's too much pain, so we both don't want it. The love went toxic, now it's hey, 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 it's okay, hey, hey. And we're not in love, we know the time has come. I can't stay, hey, hey, I'm away, hey, hey. All alone. Like a curse, you're the worst. Each moment I love you to
About to start. Share the link, give it a like, get ready, grab your popcorn. Good morning, internet friends. How are you all doing? Thank you for joining me today, Thursday, August 13th, 2026. I'm a little under the weather, but we got a lot of stuff to go over. It's going to be a huge show. I'm getting the power chat turned on right now. That link's in the live chat on Rumble and in the description below. I'm basically only posting and streaming to Rumble now. Odysee started glitching where I couldn't even get in and get the video processed anymore, and BitChute is just so absolutely retarded. I don't even want to be involved in that community at all. Nothing but retards on BitChute these days. So what's the point? I'm starting a new YouTube channel, and we're gonna be back on YouTube. I was on YouTube last night. I had a big stream about the suffering Messiah with Neil from Gnostic Informant. Check that out. That was a good video. Went on a lot of theological deep dive stuff. What do you guys think? I'm really digging the new Winterfell Ned Stark look. I think I'm ready to move to a castle in the north, make Aliyah, get a big dire wolf, and just dress in furs and leather and carry a big sword around all day. Sounds pretty great. Pretty great to me. Dude, I'm posting these thumbnails, these banger thumbnails on Twitter, and getting zero comments. Zero comments. Not even anybody making fun of me. Nothing. Disappointing. Look, there's this one too. This was the Grok. The other one was ChatGPT. This one's Grok. Thank you, Parisia. Thank you, Parisia. Yeah, we hit it yesterday. Thank you, Da Vinci Now.
$50. I feel like a kid on Christmas Eve. I can't wait until the Andrew Wilson and Candace Owens debate tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be total entertainment to say the least, but it's also a spectacle, and it also is absurd. We're going to play a clip later of Tatum, I forget his first name, black guy, Zionist black guy. He's like, why are you paying her money? It's stupid. Hopefully she's going to get sued, so this money, the $300,000 that they paid her to force her and pressure her to do this debate, ends up being Erica's after the lawsuit. But it is stupid. She's already so rich. $300,000 is probably nothing to her. It's better to press her and get her in the hot seat for that little money. But that's a little money to her, but a lot of money to somebody else. But giving her, it's like she's the most evil woman, demonic woman alive that's been running this almost year-long harassment campaign, and then we're going to reward her with $300,000. But it might be the end of her career. I'm hoping. I'm so sick of this Charlie Kirk truther bullshit sucking all the oxygen out of the room. Total distraction. There's so many more real issues, real concerns, real conspiracies that we should be focused on in this huge distraction, sucking all of the oxygen out of the internet for this total bullshit, handing the Jews a big W, delegitimizing, as Candace would say, the anti-Zionist movement. And today on the stream, we're going to cover Alexander Dugin wrote a book in 1993 called Conspirology. Conspiracyology, basically, which I guess hasn't been translated into English yet, but there's some writings up. We're going to get into that. Very interesting.
Just had on Jimmy Dore. These people are almost incestuous.
Yeah, Jimmy Dore, who's still posting the stupid altered, stretched out image and going, oh, when you stretch it out too much, it doesn't look like Tyler anymore. He looks bigger and buffer. Yeah, it's echo chamber. It's a pro-Russia sphere, conspiracy kook echo chamber of these grifters that all have each other on the shows all the time, making the whole world retarded and schizophrenic. Anyway, I didn't want to bring up Candace at the beginning of the show, guys. We got other stuff to cover, but the super chat in there. And the debate, Andrew Wilson, Candace, is at 7 a.m. my time. I'm like, oh, I'm going to stream it, but it's 7 a.m. Sounds like a nightmare getting out of bed at 7 a.m. to watch Andrew Wilson and Candace Owens debate the stupidest distraction ever. Anyway, this one's ChatGPT. This one goes so hard. So hard. Love it. And then this one too. I got nobody cared about my, I'm doing the whole Game of Thrones Targaryen Stark cosplay with my badass green dragon. Nobody cares. I think I'm just going to have to get this printed in a big poster board, 8 by 12, 10 by 15 or something, and just put it on my wall and enjoy it myself. Or put it into Grok and animate it. Dracarys. Okay. This is amazing. This is so beautiful. I love this. Check out this eclipse that happened in Spain the other day.
Dios, qué guay, chaval. Wow. Dios.
See, the corona's out of the side, too. So incredible. I got to see the partial one 2 years ago. I got the glasses and looked up. It was covered like a third of the way. It's amazing how we're able to predict, like, to the second and exactly the location where these take place.
Wow.
So incredible. Bucket list. One day in my life, I want to go to one of these places where there's a full eclipse and see it. Could you imagine what the ancients used to think when they saw something like this?
Da Vinci now sent $10. As annoying as both of them are, it will still be great content. 7 a.m. is too early.
I never imagined myself that I would be rooting so hard for Andrew Wilson. But you know what also is frustrating? It's like you're going to give her $300,000, she's going to lose, and then all of these people, her whole cadre of this new cottage industry of this Charlie Kirk stuff, all Candace's enablers and accomplices and this big disinfo psyop, they're never going to admit they were wrong. Never. They're going to keep doubling down, just like when a cult has a prophecy that doesn't come to fulfillment. They always cope. They always double down. They always move the goalpost because they can't. They have to save face. They're just going to keep digging forever. There's no way that Candace is just going to be like, sorry, world, my bad. That's on me. My bad. I was wrong. She's never going to admit she was a total evil, lying, psychopathic moron, you know, doing the most evil thing ever. Can we all agree that if they're all wrong, which they are, that this has been the most like psychotic, evil thing that they could have ever done to a grieving widow that lost the father of her children? Blew it, lady. She's like, the most amazing thing that anybody could ever see. Let me turn to the dark here for a second. You blew it. You know what? I just remembered. I made an eclipse of myself. This Jesus one made me remember. Let's see. When I saw the eclipse, I remember I made a thumbnail of it. Oh, remember the moon eclipse that Artemis 2 saw when they flew to the backside of the moon? CGI, totally fake, bro. Oh, you believe Nazi occult NASA? Here's the thumb. Boom. Goes pretty hard. Goes pretty hard. If I do say so myself. She was raped by a Moroccan. She got sexually assaulted by a foreigner, and that's why she missed the shot. Was that in Morocco? I thought it was Spain. Was that one Morocco? John Garadas got a video up here. We really got to shut it down, man. These Christians are just the most cucked thing I've ever seen in my life.
I will bless those who bless Israel. But read the second part. I will curse those who curse Israel. And America needs to understand, we did it when we were over together for that conference a month ago or so. And I did a wonderful interview with Ambassador Huckabee. I had a great interview. And President Trump had made a statement, Israel would not exist if it wasn't for America. And Governor Huckabee, I said, I heard you got in a little bit of trouble. He goes, more than a little bit of trouble, but he said it. I admire.
Dude, we got these Shabbos Goy Christian pastors like competing with one another who could cuck to Israel the hardest. That's what they're doing. They're trying to outdo each other for best light switch flipper.
Trouble. He goes, more than a little bit of trouble, but he said it. I admire his courage.
Right.
That he's not being a politician, he's being a leader. When President Trump said Israel wouldn't exist without America, Ambassador Huckabee said, I'm sorry, that's wrong. Israel exists because of the hand of God. America exists because of Israel.
Carlin shared this one. This guy says, Jesus led him to communism. You don't say. Yeah, very common. Story as old as time. And then these, like Amalek always talks about, these leftists aren't opposing Christianity like in the right ways. They're opposing them because like they're trying to morally outdo them. They're trying to out-Christian the Christians morally with their Christian morals.
I was raised in a religious family, and when I eventually found my way to leftism as a teenager, I felt the teachings of Jesus justified it. Because when you think about it, the logical conclusion of love your neighbor and blessed are the poor must be socialism, right? I used to joke with my dad that he did all this to me because Jesus led me to Karl Marx. And later I felt the same way about Gandhi, Martin Luther.
Dude, this guy's got a Bluey on his shelf. Who's the Bluey doll for? To look like my daughter loves Bluey. To think of this thing like, hey little girl, you like Bluey? Put the lotion in the basket. It's ma'am. Christian values. This is what it leads to. The Christian meme and Cope, they always do. They go, hey, pagans, follow your oldest tradition and convert. Hey, Christians, follow your oldest tradition, your greatest tradition, and become Marxist socialists. And liberals and liberal atheists.
Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. These religious leaders who led protest movements were the foundation of my anti-racism, my anti-imperialism, and my internationalism. I was raised in a religious family, and when I eventually found my way to leftism as a teenager, I felt the teachings of Jesus justified
the Jesus to the extreme left pipeline. Sad story, sad case.
It.
It's a slippery slope.
Because when you think about it, the logical...
This is your brain on Jesus. This is what happens if you're raised in church. Who does this guy look like? I'm trying to put my, not Lindsey Graham. Who's the actor from Cheers? Like balding, receding headline, Graham something. I think he was in Cheers. Frasier. He looks like that guy from Frasier.
Conclusion of love your neighbor and blessed are the poor must be socialism, right? I used to joke with my dad that he did all this to me because Jesus led me to Karl Marx.
Yep.
And later I felt the same.
Bro. Kelsey Grammer physiognomy? Yep. Nailed it.
Same way about Gandhi, Martin Luther.
Thank you for that, Carlin. I'm sure you see this all the time. Yeah, Pope Francis agreed, says Jack Stone. If I see the gospel in a sociological way, yes, I am a communist, and so too is Jesus. Ha! Putin said the same thing, too, once in an interview. Watch, we'll look that up. Putin, socialism, Christianity. Moscow Times. Putin compares communism to Christianity. I mean, they lived in they were a socialist, communist, commune, apocalyptic, messianic cult. That's how it started. They all give up all of their stuff. They live in a commune. They give up all their goods and their wealth to the community. That's how they were doing it in the Dead Sea Scrolls and in Christianity. Just promoting The poor, the Ebionites, the first Christian sects, the Ebionites were called the poor ones. They were living like aesthetically. Aesthetically. Did I say aesthetically? Yeah, aesthetically. They had good aesthetics. All right, here we go. Okay, look at this. This rabbi we've seen before with super crazy videos. It's not a leak. That's clickbait. He posts this online, I'm pretty sure. But look at this, 27,000 likes. This same rabbi had another really viral clip talking about destroying Edom. I think this is another one similar to it. Let's see.
Because the most powerful nations in the world have to go down to their knees. That's what happened to Egypt. That's what's going to happen to America. That's what's going to happen to Germany. That's what's going to happen to France. That's what's going to happen to London. England's going to happen to Poland. That's what's going to happen to Russia. That's what's going to happen to China. That's what's going to happen to North Korea. They're all going to go down to their knees and all see Hashem.
See, that's what they want. They want you to worship Hashem. That's their whole goal of Judaism. Obviously, Jesus helped do this through Christianity and Islam. But we got guys like Nick Fuentes running around in these Christian e-crusaders saying, oh, atheism's Jewish. They want to ban the Bible. They're not real Jews and they don't believe the Bible. And they worship Satan. They want you to worship Satan. We saw this Green Beret guy on the debate show the other day, and he was like, the Noahide laws, they want you to worship one God, Baal. It's like, no, dude. Hashem, God. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God of Zion, God of Israel. That's who they think chose them. That's who they worship, and that's who they want you to bow down to. And they did it. They helped fulfill that with Jesus. He's like, oh, the Goyim will get down on their knees to Hashem. And then what do the Christians go? Oh, he's bad, but every knee will bow to Jesus. Oops.
Hashem down to their knees and all see Hashem.
Christians and rabbis cite the same verse in Isaiah 45. Every knee will bow. Same agenda.
But as long as they keep helping us, they'll get a bracha. And they're not going to go down on their knees. They're going to get a little more time. You guys want more time? I don't want more time.
He wants Edom destroyed now.
So you understand, when I hear they're friends with us, they're just perpetuating more of this status quo. They're all going to go down. They're all going to go down to their knees, and especially the Western ones. The Zohar says that they're going to go down hard for how they treated us over the last 2,000 years. For the destruction of the Second Temple and how they treated us, Hashem's going to take them down hard.
Hard. That's not even that crazy. I've seen way crazy ones. Funny how this Anon posts it, and who posts all types of other kosher slop, and it gets 1.5 million views. You know, me or John Garadas or See Through It All or our guys find clips just like that, worse, put them together in epic edits, and they get like 100 likes. Or if an account like this will just take it, rip it, crop out the logo, and 1 million likes every time. It's so clear how our circle on the internet is clearly being suppressed and shadow banned and not given the foreign bot boosted big tech algorithm approved backing. He's got the mattress as and bedpost as the backdrop. Yeah, that backdrop is looking rough. Dude, is he in Israel in like some bomb shelter or something? Did a missile from Iran hit nearby? Hank says Parody Jeff is a Muslim. What is that other symbol? Muslim guy. Yeah, I've heard that too. I'm pretty sure it's a Muslim guy that lives in like Norway or something like that. That's the lore I heard on him.
Da Vinci now sent $10. Why would you support people that think this way about you? I do not understand Zionists.
The Zionists agree with him. They go, the West has been evil and satanic and needs to bow down and needs Hashem's wrath. They say the same thing. Eastern Orthodox, Catholics, even the Zionists. And John Hagee goes, America's sinned and needs to be punished by God. It's not in the prophecies. They all agree with it. The Zionist Christians, the anti-Zionist Christians, they all agree. America's evil, satanic, and it needs God's wrath, and they need to submit to God, bow down to God. So they're on the same page with the rabbi. That's why they're all part of this Abrahamic deception. The rabbi clip is a few years old too. Yeah, that's what I figured too. Not even new. I'm trying to find the other one that we got of him that's super crazy. Way
The
worse.
Mashiach sits at the gates of Rome. Now, this does not mean that Mashiach was physically sitting in the
We literally
geographic.
got no joke, hundreds of clips of rabbis saying even worse stuff than that. And we splice them up, all the best parts, and put them in compilations, and never get that type of million traction. Ever. Even with my account that has 90,000 followers. But dropping, too. I'm just, like, losing followers all the time. Probably because this Candace Owens stuff, I'm mass blocking so many idiots and triggered morons that you gotta cull the herd every now and again anyway, too, though. I do a lot of cull herding. Herd culling. Cull herding.
Location of Rome, Italy. Okay? Rome is a concept. But rather, Mashiach sits in the Garden of Eden, because of course he sits in the Garden of Eden, which mirrors the entire world. And so he sits in that opening which corresponds to the terrestrial Rome. And yet still not necessarily Rome, Italy, but the system that Rome and the church put into play in this world. From the
Right, too, yeah. All the Russia shills and people brainwashed by the active measures, they're probably seething and blocking, too. There's so many, it's crazy. I'll go through Twitter and there'll be a popular post with lots of replies, and I'll go through and I'll just be blocked by so many people, so many accounts that are just like anonymous, super small, I've never seen before, and they all have me blocked for some reason. Like I'm on block lists, or like, I don't know, foreign intelligence has big bot factories and they create a ton of accounts with AI and then mass block me, which suppresses me in the algorithm. I think that's the way they're doing it, gaming the system.
fall of Rome, Italy, and the Roman Catholic Church, and Western civilization. So it's the Western world as we know it, as he waits for it to collapse. Like we said in the series Calling All Jews, the governance, the rule of Mashiach cannot come until the rule of this world is done. You cannot have two of them. If someone says, I think it's also in Sanhedrin, maybe it's in Rosh Hashanah. In any case, it says in the Talmud, I can find it, but I also said in those teachings, if someone tells you Rome is built and Jerusalem is built, don't believe him. If he says Rome is destroyed and Jerusalem is destroyed, don't believe him. But if someone says Rome is built and Jerusalem is destroyed, or Jerusalem is built and Rome is destroyed, then you can believe them, because they cannot stand at the same time. So when will Mashiach come? When will the Son of David come? The teaching is the Son of David will not come until, and all the examples over there, until the system of this world as it is right now is no more.
Hey, who in the chat can find the video of this other rabbi with his super crazy clip? If anybody can find that for me, I'm looking in my folders and not seeing it. So I want to make sure that I have that. Here's another one good too. Conspiracy Truther says, if you can't be critical of this propaganda in the same way you are critical of Candace Owens' Russian propaganda, then you're disingenuous and theologically conquered. I'm tired of people not holding these rabbis to the same standards as we hold for the Russia shills. I think you mean the other way around. We're not holding the Russia shills to the same standard as the rabbis. We got to do the compilation of the rabbis talking about America's evil and satanic and needs to be destroyed, and splice it with all of the Orthodox Christians and John Hagee and Catholics that say the same thing about America.
Government in the world has a secret government behind it that run the show. If you think that the president, the prime minister, you think they're doing it, they're puppets. 100% puppets. They control armies, nations, governments, all the money in the world.
Twitter's
all
so
the richest
cooked.
families in the world. Rothschilds and the
Yeah,
Rockefellers.
Twitter is so cooked. Instagram and Facebook even worse. And it's...
I can tell you already one thing, that anyone that somehow made money within a very...
Oh, I get it's conspiracy
Davinci
truther.
now sent $20.
Yeah.
Russian bots are real. My history of Russia professor was hacked by the Russians. It was a basic state school, so I am not surprised they would do it on X. He mentioned the Russian Orthodox Church being an intelligence front.
Well,
This was
right
years
on all
ago.
accounts. I agree. Years ago. Yep, it's been the way. Okay, I miss Doc Jake Holiday, conspiracy truther, was saying he was directing that towards like the Zionist Jews that want to complain about Russian propaganda, but then not call out, like they'll call out. Good point, conspiracy truther. All these Zionists are happy to call out Dugin or Russian propaganda that's anti-Western, but then they have nothing to say about all the rabbis that are even more anti-Western and anti-Edom. Good point, Doc Jake Holiday. But it goes both ways too. Both sides are hypocritical. We're the only ones that are getting it right.
short span of time.
Yeah, this is HT's doppelganger.
Has to be part of it.
Rabbi,
And you think that Mike
handsome
Zuckerberg
rabbi.
owns Facebook? He's a puppet. Facebook was created for their manipulation. Same thing with YouTube. Same thing with WhatsApp and Instagram and Netflix and everything. How did Netflix become so big within 2 years? Only with the power of the ultimate endless money of the world. And it's much more than that. World War I was designed by them. World War II, designed by them. Federal Reserve, which people think belongs to the American government. Doesn't belong to the government even. It's a private organization. NASA, CIA, the assassination of JFK, who was the first one who ever talked about it, got a bullet in his head. Needless to say, the attack...
Dude, this rabbi's such a conspiracy theorist. I bet you this is the conspiracy theorist rabbi that Mizrahi was talking
in
trash
the Twin
about.
Towers, it wasn't bin Laden. It was all one big agenda because they needed to go to Afghanistan.
question today for you-
To put pipes in the sea. It's all one big show. We're being fooled, and millions of Americans are cheering. We're going to a war against terror. No, you've been fooled. And you think it's different in Israel? You know that Israel was built by the Freemasons, by the way, by the Zionists. There's nothing here kosher.
Wow, same line. Oh, it's not Jews. It's Freemason Zionist and Khazars and Satanist. Even the Jews will do these theories.
Who approved the Declaration of Israel? The United Nations, of course. An organization of peace and unity, and we love all.
Oh, the
It's
Nazi
a terror
UN
organization
created Israel.
built by the New World Order. And
Dude, this guy sounds like Alex Jones. Does this guy watch Alex Jones?
they approved the Declaration of Eretz Israel. All the founders of the country of Israel are Freemasons.
Really? Source? Who'd that be? Ben Gurion? Chaim Weizmann? Theodore Herzl? Were they Freemasons? They do got Freemason stuff in Israel. I know that. Hank says this is a fact. Which founders? Herzl was a Freemason. Is that true? Wow. How? I must have forgotten that. Herzl, Freemason. We're going to fact check you, Hank. No credible evidence or official records indicate Herzl was a Freemason. You know? Pretty sure that like almost anybody that does anything ever gets accused of being a Freemason. You know? In the future, are people going to look back? They're going to look back and see what all my haters were saying about me, and they'll say he was a crypto Jew, Mossad agent, Freemason, a Rothschild, hybrid, Nordic Aryan overlord, fallen angel. All right, we got a few Bart Ehrman clips with Jason Staples. One of these is interesting. He says it's the revenge of the losers. Yeah, exactly. Judaism were the losers. They're getting pushed around by bigger empires. They have their revenge fantasies masked in prophecies, and then they created Christianity and got revenge on Rome and conquered Rome, the Roman gods, with their Messiah. Let's see this.
And does it have like a different understanding?
I thought Jason Staples was way younger. I swear I had the face mixed up on Jason Staples.
And does it have like a different understanding? Is there any kind of essential difference of understanding in apocalyptic thinking? In other words, when you read through the Hebrew Bible, people are suffering a lot. The nation of Israel is always getting run over by somebody or other. You mentioned the Persians.
Yeah, they're always suffering, but they would never invent a suffering Messiah, right, Bart?
Babylonians, the Assyrians before that, and then you end up getting the Greeks, and then the Egyptians, the Syrians. It's one nation after the other. It's like wiping out Israel. And
remember, again, you guys go check out on Gnostic Informant on YouTube last night. We did a stream. Was a suffering Messiah anticipated? Expanding on Richard Carrier's new paper, peer-reviewed, showing that there were, or at least plausibly, was suffering Messiah was anticipated before Christianity. So you don't need a historical figure. It totally debunks Bart Ehrman, the crux of his whole argument that Jesus must have existed. I rocked the Targaryen World Economic Forum Klaus Schwab fit for that one.
Most of the Hebrew Bible seems to indicate that God's punishing Israel for not worshiping him properly or worshiping other gods or behaving immorally, and that it comes as a punishment from God. And is that kind of what's going on with apocalyptic literature too, to explain why this whole thing's going to blow up, or is there a different explanation for it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, and actually it's worth noting that, the Bible is maybe our biggest exception to the rule that the victors write history, right? The Bible's the one set of documents that we have from antiquity that's written by the losers and, by the persistent losers, actually. So, that's interesting in itself. But yeah, I think one of the distinctive things about apocalypticism is that the answers that it does give to some of these questions, I don't know that that we should see it as a polar opposite to the idea that, oh, well, you're just getting what you deserve, which is one of the things you get in, you read Amos, for example, and Amos says, you all have oppressed the poor, you have, committed all of these injustices, therefore God is going to pour out his wrath on you in this way, and so when this happens to you, you know why it happened, it's because you are terrible. That's not what we get, generally, in apocalypticism. The focus is different. Now, there are times where you get a little bit of indication of, well, there was some bad things that were done even by the righteous in the past, and they paid for their sins in these various ways. But generally, the presumption in apocalypticism is even if some things were deserved, the consequences way outstretch what was actually deserved in terms of well, you abused the poor, therefore. It's sort of the idea of like, well, you lied when you were 6 years old, you lied to your parents, therefore you're going to burn forever in hell. Like, well, that seems a little disproportionate, right? So that's the sort of thing that in apocalypticism, you have this idea of, okay, clearly something has to be explained for why it is that, okay, fine, let's even grant that the righteous are not perfectly righteous. Well,
dude,
why?
He's been blabbering for like 2 minutes and hasn't said anything. Is it just me? Get to the point, bro. Look at Bart Ehrman. He's struggling to follow. Get to the point.
Is it that the really wicked seem to be winning? Why, and you get this in some earlier prophetic material like Habakkuk, where you have this idea of like, wait, God, why is it that you would punish Judah with the Babylonians? Aren't the Babylonians far worse? And this is sort of the framework of apocalypticism to say, okay, we've got to explain why it is that people who are more righteous actually do worse. Why is it that the world doesn't seem to be just?
So true.
Things are not going as they should be.
And so
apocalyptic literature steps into that question and says, well, let's explain why this is. Let's explain the background to show that, in fact, what we're seeing here is the impact of the forces of evil and the forces of darkness. And right now, this present age is the age in which darkness is having its day. But don't worry.
That's what we're up against, the darkness of Yahweh.
dawn will come, there will be light in the end, and God will bring justice, and things will be set right in the future. And that's where you get things like resurrection, right? You get this idea that, look, you turns out were a righteous person, and you refuse to do the things. You get the ideas like in the Second Maccabees or Fourth Maccabees, where you have people being put to death because they refuse to violate the Torah. Well, in the world where you're just strictly following the Amos kind of cause and effect, you don't do what's right, you're going to get judged for it thing. That's really hard to explain. Why is it that you don't get the reward for actually keeping the covenant? And the answer that apocalypticism gives is, you'll get your reward, even if it takes God raising you from the dead so that you'll get it later. You might pay for it now, but don't worry, he's going to get his, and you'll eventually get yours, and you'll get what you deserve. And this really is, we see this as sort of the cauldron out of which a strong emphasis on resurrection and the development of the doctrine of individual resurrection that we see characterizing the late Second Temple period.
And they used the myth of a resurrected, crucified Savior to conquer their enemies. That was the strategy that clearly ended up winning. Is he going to call it Revenge of the Nerds yet?
The Pharisees and ultimately the Christians come to believe this. That is something that is very much out of this kind of apocalyptic eschatology, in which, and again, the way that I teach apocalypticism is the number one bedrock of apocalypticism is God is just. And then, of course, the real problem is, but the world isn't. So how do we explain that? And the solution that so many apocalypticists give is, well, don't worry, God's justice will prevail later.
God wins. Trust the plan. God wins. We've read the book. Trust the plan. We wrote the book. We read the book. Trust the plan. We win in the end over the bad guys.
And that really is where the apocalyptic literature goes.
Amalek, did he call it Revenge of the Losers? I missed that, huh?
And is that
that Amos? Yeah, that's
before that. Can you read?
But
where? Okay, I don't know. Maybe I was reading the chat or something.
Why
I must have missed where he said Revenge of the Losers, but I agree. It is a revenge fantasy. Apocalyptic Judaism and the prophecies are a revenge fantasy, are a megomaniacal manifesto about ruling the world. That's what I write in my book. And that if Christianity was born out of apocalyptic messianism, which it was, then it was born as a revenge fantasy on Rome. Oh my God. I'm like, I hear a phone ringing. It was my phone. I butt dialed. This guy sounds like Tucker. Here's another one. More.
The apocalyptic worldview or apocalypticism is very. I don't want to say it's certainly not held by everybody in early Judaism, but it was a very common view in the world in which say we see early Christianity develop. And when we see those first few centuries of the Common Era and the last couple centuries of the before the Common Era, we see a lot of evidence that if you pulled a random Jewish person out of Alexandria or off the street in Galilee or something in the first century BCE, that person.
Who did I butt dial? Gnostic Informant, because seeing Jason Staples reminded me of something I meant to cover last night and I forgot. I quoted in the book. Bart Ehrman argues that they would have never invented a suffering Messiah, and then Jason Staples got his PhD in his dissertation approved by Bart Ehrman, and in it he has a footnote saying that that's not true, that there is evidence in the Dead Sea Scrolls, I think is who he cites, of a Messiah that would suffer and die. And I wanted to tell Neil about that we forgot one of the best parts. Always forget something when you do streams like that.
Would probably hold quite a few very apocalyptic views and would be looking forward to something that looks like an apocalyptic eschatology of some sort. I think there's pretty strong evidence for that. And
yeah,
I think actually there's evidence that led to the Jewish revolt in 70, probably the diaspora revolt in the 1-teens and the Bar Kokhba revolt in the 130s, which is part of why it gets de-emphasized.
N8 Live sent $10 historicity hanging on a thread.
Yeah, I've said that quite a few times. We need a meme. We need a meme of like somebody, a rabbi holding Jesus and he's like hanging on a rope that's all tattered and like one thread left, and then it says the historical Jesus on the Jesus. Okay? AI meme magic. That's the idea. And then he's going to fall into a vat, and then the vat says Jesus myth, Jesus mythicism. So the historical Jesus is about to fall into the vat like Batman, like the Joker and Batman, for historical Jesus. Powerful. Bart Ehrman will never overcome the power of that meme.
In rabbinic Judaism a little bit later. So, this is a very potentially explosive type of worldview. And we see that today still. I mean, people still hold apocalyptic worldviews. Yeah. And you can see that has impact on the decisions that, say, the current Secretary of War might make, for example.
Yeah, bro. And Israel. Hey, funny, they're just saying everything that I've always been saying. Yeah, we got all these apocalyptic messianic fanatics believing in Jewish prophecies in charge of all these governments around the world, like Christians in America, in Russia, Muslims throughout the Middle East, and then rabbis in Israel. Funny, the first chapter of my book is actually the first chapter is the introduction, the deception. Chapter 2, though, is about prophecy. The meta on prophecy, the danger of people believing in prophecy, and then like what the prophecy agenda is in the Torah.
Right. So it's kind of like today, if you could pick up any, go to like anybody who's a very conservative evangelical Christian, they probably think Jesus, they'd agree that Jesus is coming back soon. And you're saying that a Jew living around the time of Jesus, say, most Jews would have some idea of the end times that we would call apocalyptic in the ancient sense.
Oh, shoot. I think Amalek had one more. I asked him to join today, but he was taking care of something. Couldn't join. Huh. Oh, shit.
אגב, הוא ואבא שלו, רנדולף, הוא בן של צ'רצ'יל, באו וכיסו כאן את מלחמת ששת הימים בצורה מאוד חיובית לנו.
Not ready to translate. I know we got one more clip from Amalek. From that dude. Oh, thanks for clipping me up. Some of the highlights of me and Neil from last night. Oh, Mizrahi spends time helping Gentiles. How nice of him. Is this the one? Revenge of Losers. Global Decisions Today.
We need to bring this to a close. I wonder if you could just explain why this is something that people should be interested in. I mean, is it inherently interesting? Does it matter for something beyond itself? Is it because you're a great teacher? All the above?
Funny how we never get any help from these guys with all the compilations and trying to sound the alarm about all these apocalyptic rabbis all over the internet, influencing Likud and Netanyahu and Christian Zionism. Oh, now you guys want to talk about the threat of apocalyptic Judaism. When we've been doing it for years, we were ignored and called anti-Semitic. Funny how that works.
What's your pitch? What do you think is going to be the best thing about this course for people?
Well, I mean, I think, first of all, I find this...
Oh, and he's grifting a course about it. Okay. You got to pay to hear about the Judeo fanatics.
Stuff inherently interesting. I do. But beyond that, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find something from the ancient world that is more relevant to a lot of the discussions that we have that shape not just American politics, but global decision-making on an international scale, the way that apocalypticism as a philosophical movement does. You think about right now, and this is not exactly evergreen, but future people watching this will still probably remember that there was a conflict between the United States and Iran happening in 2026. Well, it's not just apocalyptic from many of the people who are making some of these decisions on the American side do hold to specific modern forms of Christian eschatology that grow out of these apocalyptic ideas. There's no doubt about that. But
they're Jewish apocalyptic prophecies.
Same is true in Islam.
Yes.
The Shia 12ers who are in charge in Iran are heavily influenced by apocalypticism themselves.
Yeah, another messianic apocalyptic cult. Right.
And so this is one of those things that if you understand how this works and you sort of recognize how this develops, you can see it in all these areas that continue to have major impact today. And then the final thing is it also makes watching certain movies and things way more fun because you can see some of these elements get remixed and you can go, oh, that's
like
so,
Dune?
they're pulling in from this, this trope that I know from this other thing.
Dune, the plots of Dune and Game of Thrones, the prince that was promised, the apocalyptic war against the darkness of the White Walkers from the north. And then in Dune, the galactic war with the messianic figure that was planted on Dune to get them to expect and wait for a Messiah. It's funny that this guy out of nowhere comes and starts saying these things and puts it behind a paywall, and it's, oh, you got to sign up for his conference to hear about all these things. Funny.
That's another, underrated, I think, benefit of really getting familiar with these sorts of things is that you start to see little references.
Imagine
that
showing
you never
up and
would've-
trying to charge and do a conference for shit that I've been exposing every day for 10 years.
Noticed
Isn't that
elsewhere,
crazy?
or otherwise, and so I think that's another fun piece of it.
Okay. Well, I think it's going to be a great course. So thanks, Jason. Or if you read, the Pentateuch, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, you're not reading apocalyptic literature there. And so, but at some point it becomes like a common view within Judaism. So can you just say a few words about where it came from? I mean, what you can explain, for example, if you're a historian, you can explain where modern Christian fundamentalism came from, because obviously in the 12th century you didn't have what we think of as fundamentalism, and you can trace what happened in order to bring about fundamentalism. So what
if you told people the apocalyptic prophecy from the Bible but changed the names to ancient European gods, people would think it is ridiculous. It is amazing how people are captured by this.
That's a good point, Da Vinci. Now, I was thinking of something similar recently too. Like if you were to try to tell somebody today the story of Jesus, if it wasn't a story that's been around for 2,000 years, and just change the name, they would laugh at you of how absurd it would be, and nobody would believe it.
that brought about this apocalyptic worldview?
So there is a fair amount of debate about some of this, but in brief, sort of my view on this is, first of all, in the ancient Mediterranean, in the ancient Near East, you do have a very strong tradition of theomachy, of the war of the wars between the gods. You get this in the Gilgamesh epic and in the Enuma Elish and these sorts of things, where you have creation narratives, where you have one god.
$5 have some faith. There are plenty of Jews who pieced together, Judaism is an ancient Heaven's Gate cult where we are supposed to trust the hand of God to protect us from a weapon from Perizon. Is crazy AF.
Yeah, very true. So crazy. I can't believe it still dominates our politics. It's outrageous. It's remarkable. It's astounding that these superstitious mythologies and prophecies still dominate the world
Great
today.
Stream with Neil
like they
yesterday.
do.
Glad to see you correct him on pronunciations.
Yeah.
Can't have our boy looking like Candace.
I know. I was quick. I got that mispronunciation thing in my head. He said scepter, and I was like scepter. C silent, scepter.
Overcomes the forces of chaos and the chaos dragon and these sorts of things that is already there. So, and actually it's alluded to a lot in the Hebrew Bible. You have a lot of the Psalms, for example, are very similar to and probably borrowing from some of the Baal epic and these sorts of things, where you have a god, a high god, who brings order from overcoming these chaotic forces in the world. So you
King
have
David
this
is Baal?
sort of undercurrent of this mythological substructure, I think, that's there even in the early stages of the Bible.
Damn, no. Rough turnout today. I'm noticing this everywhere. Besides the kooky, kosher, Russia shilling, Charlie Kirk conspiratard networks, the internet is just sad. They wrecked it. Just us, guys. Just you and me. Chaos Dragon?
Bible. But the early stages of the Bible, I think, often presume, and in some cases, sort of work against that, because the God that they're presenting, they want to represent this God as above that kind of conflict in many cases. But if you look at like the Deuteronomy 32 with the Song of Moses, you get some sense of this as well. So I think you already have some of the ingredients for that are already ingredients for what became the Bible. In some sense, that kind of apocalyptic thing actually predates the text that we have in our the early text that we have in our Bible, because you have this mythological.
What is everybody doing if they're not online fighting in the info war? They're watching sports, they're watching Netflix, at work, at the gym, cooking meal, watching the kids, going to bed. All normal, intelligent people. That's most of theirs. The internet's full of autists, spurgs. Is the sample you get on the online for the most part. Looking for their conspiracy entertainment fix. Their Jesus fix. They're watching Disney Plus, probably.
Fabric that's there in the ancient Near East. But I think apocalypticism doesn't become apocalypticism, and the genre of apocalypse doesn't become apocalypse until you get the interaction between Persian Zoroastrianism in the period of the Babylonian exile in particular. But when you get Persian Zoroastrianism, which has a strong sense of cosmic dualism of the forces of light and the forces of darkness and all of this, and it has these visionary things in specific ways, I think when you get into the engagement during that exilic period between what's happening in Persia and the impact of, Zoroastrianism becomes the sort of de facto imperial religious framework, I think Jewish literature sort of folds that in and then pulls in some of the older ancient Near Eastern traditions that are already in that substructure, and then integrates its own growing scriptural material and puts all that together. And as a result, you get something that looks like apocalypse.
Always appreciate the daily show. Bible deconstruction topics are the best.
Yeah, you think so? Feels like beating a dead horse sometimes, but and there's just so much news to always keep up with, and things I want to watch in the queue. We're listening to the Game of Thrones Winds of Winter soundtrack. The Targaryen theme was what we listened to before.
Apocalyptic literature out of that. So I think that's probably your quick and dirty summary of where a lot of this comes from, and it comes out of also contexts where these were situations where these Jewish authors had things to say, but they wanted to present them in ways that had, first of all, more authority. They carried the authority of antiquity. So a lot of these apocalypses are written.
Dude, there's music playing because it's keeping me awake listening to this guy, all right? What he's saying is so boring that it needs some background music to hype me up, all right? A lot of people don't like the background music. I can get if you can't hear it, but
pseudonymously in the name of some ancient figure, these sorts of things, or wisdom, high reputation figure. And they're doing so oftentimes in the context of conflict or expectation that the Persians are finally going to go down, or the Greeks, the Greek overlords are finally going to go down, and God's going to restore Israel as they ought to be.
So Jews were fantasizing about Rome going down, and then they invented a story of the Messiah that was meant to conquer all the nations. But there's no conspiracy here, all right? Thank you, Macrometer.
I missed you on Neil's show. He's a true homie.
Yeah, Neil's a homie, for show. Based Neil.
And that content and that context,
Viking
again,
homie.
allows all of those building blocks to be put together in this way. And really, again, that's why I'm teaching this class in the way that I am, is to try to draw out how those building blocks are already there that kind of set that stage, but it's only later, once you get some of these other things, that then all of a sudden you have, as you said, you get modernism, and all of a sudden you have the knee-jerk reaction of fundamentalism. Is that there in the earlier Christianity? Not really. But are the building blocks that allowed for it there and potentially visible in other earlier forms of Christianity? Absolutely. And so to understand it, I think we do well to kind of immerse ourselves first in those building blocks and then work forward.
Yeah, okay. No, that makes sense.
Sounds awful, to be honest. Oh, he explains that it is Jewish. Oh, no, we read that one. Obviously, it's Jewish. Okay.
לך תמצא את זה בבריטניה עכשיו, מה שנקרא ברפובליקה האסלאמית של בריטניה.
The Islamic Republic of Britain. Oh, so funny. Dude, him laughing about that when like rabbis have been, just like the rabbis, celebrating all the Muslims in England, celebrating all the Muslims in European countries, in America.
אירופה כבר נהייתה כזאת, לא זה כאילו...
כן, אבל מישהו אמר שאתה יודע, הרפובליקה האסלאמית הראשונה עם נשק גרעיני תהיה הרפובליקה האסלאמית של בריטניה, בסדר, אוקיי. אז אנחנו דואגים שלא תהיה פה עוד אחת, אתה יודע, באיראן. בכל אופן, אני פוגש אותו.
Greatest ally.
אגב, הוא ואבא שלו...
Greatest ally. This is one of the women. Remember there was the SPLC got investigated or indicted by the FBI? This woman got arrested for funding the KKK. So some like liberal, I don't know if liberal's the right word, some leftist founder of the Global Project Against Hate and Extremism, and she got arrested for like illegal wire funding the KKK.
Their views, I think white supremacy is, you know, one of the worst things mankind has come up with. Well, I can have a direct impact on these movements. And just in the first year I was there, we did some very good work, myself and my colleagues, exposing anti-immigrant networks in the United States, some of which are still functioning today. Their views.
See, opposing mass immigration,
Anonymous
they call you a right-wing hate extremist.
Yes, let's flood a nuclear power with Muslims who hate Israel. Yes, what could go wrong? These people might be both delusional and not as smart as they think they are.
They're not. They're not. The only thing they have going for them is how average
Dorsroon sent $5 on Rumble. Islamic Pakistan has had nukes since 1998.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Doesn't the Saudis have a nuke too, or no? Can't remember.
Davin Sinau sent $10. The Persians are responsible for these beliefs. It is fascinating that a lot of this comes from Zoroastrianism. They are all just myths to control trade routes.
Yeah, I was right. Saudis don't have nukes, only Pakistan. And since the 80s too. So yeah, what are you even talking about, dude? They're Islamic. Anti-Semitism is the most evil thing in the world. That's why she funds it to try to...
I think white supremacy is, you know, one of the worst things mankind has come up with. Well, I can have a direct impact on these movements. And just in the first year I was there, we did some very good...
They're funding extremists to try to undermine any nationalism and pass hate speech laws and all this other shit. There was another one in this SPLC thing that was sleeping with one of the like white supremacists or whatever leaders. Let's see the clip Goy Shiok made of Carrier with Godless Engineer about the suffering Messiah.
Parties to realize George Brooke wrote 20 years ago all of this. So he's an example of someone who's kind of like a typical case. He agrees with thinking that 11Q13 implicates the dying Messiah of Daniel 9. So he's with me on that. And therefore, he argues Q13 should be viewed as providing much of the exegetical background, allowing for the early Christian development of the motif of a dying Messiah. That's almost verbatim element 5 in my book. So that it's basically exactly my thesis. George Brooke affirms my thesis. And I've won a piece of evidence too. So like I don't use only 11Q13, I stack the evidence. He adds a piece of evidence I didn't and goes into detail on that because it's his area of expertise. In the use of Isaiah in 4Q541, which is a chapter in one of his books, he talks about the Apocryphon on Levi, which is it's actually, Brooke is a leading expert on that. Like, so he really studied the hell out of this. He's a leading Dead Sea Scrolls scholar. So he argues that it may be possible to construe 4Q541 as speaking of the death of an eschatological figure, as Isaiah 53 could itself be construed to do, possibly even a death by crucifixion. Again, that's almost verbatim what I argued in element 15, except without this evidence. So he's actually stacking more evidence on top of the evidence that I had and coming to the same conclusion that I did. And so Brooke concludes, it now seems that there is a Jewish text whose author used the servant passages of Isaiah to support the understanding that there was to be an eschatological priest who would suffer, possibly even that the suffering involved death that would lead to joyous benefits for others. He talks about the atonement principle and everything being in there. And so the first Christians co-opted, not invented, quote unquote, already existing traditions about the suffering of the eschatological servant priest / Messiah to explain what happened to Jesus. And so this is exactly the thesis that
So this is what they find in the Dead Sea Scrolls, Testament of Levi 4Q541, and he will atone for all the children of his generation. So having a figure atoning for Israel, when previously it was the Yom Kippur goat and the Day of Atonement that would do the atonement. So already a pre-Christian atonement. I guess that's what he's referring to.
that I build in element 5. It is exactly what element 5 is doing.
Which is riffing off the atonement and dying for transgressions and iniquities that you see in Isaiah 53, in Daniel, and in Zechariah, tying in just a couple of passages and getting the whole core of the Jesus atonement framework.
Even like the softer language, all of this is almost exactly my element 5. So this is Brooke is definitely supporting me here. He's a perfect example of this.
One of many.
First, over there on...
So this is what we covered, this suffering Messiah idea. This is the video he did. Carrier's got a new peer-reviewed paper published proving that there were some Jews expecting a suffering Messiah, which completely debunks Bart Ehrman's whole main argument. So now the ball is in his court. He has to debunk this or concede he's wrong and then have to go back and reconsider his whole argument that Jesus must have existed because it's impossible. They would have never, ever innovated the idea of a suffering Messiah without a guy that got crucified that they thought was the Messiah. It's so dumb. They were doing Midrash and doing all types of messianic expectations. Oh, they wouldn't do Midrash without Jesus. Yeah, right. They were.
First, over there on TikTok, we are going to get you up here in just a second. But McTime asked, "What is the probability that Jesus existed and he was a charlatan faith healer like all the other charlatan faith healers that are so fond of him?" So, like, what's the likelihood of him just being some kind of charlatan itinerant rabbi?
Yeah, I haven't really gamed out that very specific scenario. My conclusion, my latest conclusion in the obsolete paradigm, with updated evidence and so forth from the original study, my sequel study, which is 10 years later. So stuff happened in between. It actually updated some of my results. The final probability of a historical Jesus, I came to the top probability would be 1 in 4, so 25%. And I do think overwhelmingly that probability space is occupied by the apocalyptic prophet model. To what extent that involves, first of all, faith healing, that's a more open question. To what extent, and not necessarily to whether Jesus existed, right? Like, it's not like if he wasn't a faith healer, he didn't exist. I mean, it's possible he existed and wasn't a faith healer, and that was a later tradition. But he might have been. That's totally plausible. But then going one step further and saying, well, like, he wasn't like someone who had convinced himself of this. He was an actual charlatan, right? And so that's a more complicated thesis because you have to build out exactly why would he do the things he did specifically.
So now we're asking if Jesus was a charlatan. How about the people that made him up? Were they charlatans? Were they the ancient QAnon that made up QAnon?
I think that's less likely. Not impossible, not implausible at all. I think it has a decent probability. I think it's less likely, though, because when you go to my Wichita talk, which was that link I gave earlier that actually builds out my model of what I think is the most probable historical Jesus, it requires Jesus to actually have believed something about his literally trying to get himself killed. And there are several other of these guys who did the same thing. Josephus records them. He just doesn't literally call them a Messiah, but he describes them doing messianic things. So he's a very coded way, like his Jewish readers would get what he's talking about. And they all do things that replicate Joshua. That's the word also, that's the same name, Jesus, right? So Josephus actually describes several Jesus Christs, like coded versions of Jesus Christ. He never describes Jesus that way. Even the Testimonium Flavianum does not construct Jesus that way, which is another one of many reasons we suspect that the Testimonium is fake, that he never wrote it. If he had written about Jesus, he would have completely formulated him in the context of these other new Joshua pretender Messiah things. He would have written it that way, and there's no structure at all in the TF that resembles that. But it shows there's a trend of these guys. They're looking at the timetable in Daniel. They're looking at the commentaries that we see, the kinds of commentaries we see at the Dead Sea Scrolls. They're thinking this is what has to happen in order to get Jeremiah's prophecy to work the way Daniel did, and therefore to get Daniel's prophecy to work, even though both Jeremiah and Daniel's prophecy both failed as written. Daniel is trying to fix the failure of Jeremiah. these messianic sects are trying to fix the failure of Daniel. And so the secret is that the belief is that the reason the end hasn't come, the reason why the clock has been delayed so long, the reason why the promises that it would come anytime now didn't happen, is that God is upset about the sins of Israel. The sins of Israel are upsetting him. He said, I'm not saving you because you're too big of sinners. And so they come up with this idea that what if a Messiah kills himself and his sacrifice atones for all of Israel, then God's excuse goes away. And so now they've unlocked the apocalypse. God can bring the apocalypse and it'll happen. And that's almost explicitly what Daniel 9 says. Like, it's not as explicit as I just made it. But if you read the argument of Daniel 9, it's very much talking about to get this universal atonement, to get Jeremiah's prophecy to unlock, to get the apocalypse to happen, somebody's got to die. And it's got to be someone who's righteous and innocent, right? There's got to be a martyr. There's got to be this human sacrifice, essentially. Again, it doesn't put it in these terms, but you read it, you can read it between the lines. So this is what they're talking about.
YouTuber Vrilliam caught in 4K prompting his AI to write his video scripts, including the one on Maimonides, expressing disdain for Christianity. Adam tried, or No More News tried telling everyone he was wrong about Maimonides. Now it makes sense. What does he say about Maimonides? So I called it in the same video where I criticized his thing about Maimonides. I'm like, this looks like he's literally just like it's done one prompt into AI and then it did a whole thing and he just read it verbatim.
Adam, did you ever ask Neil about getting you on this Derek or Jacob's show? It seems like you'd be a good fit, but they seem more sensitive to being viewed as anti-Semitic adjacent, especially in Jacob's case.
I'm sure that's the case with Derek, but no, I've never heard him say anything about History Valley, talking about me or having me on. They don't want the smoke. They can't debunk what I'm saying. All they can try to do is ignore and blacklist, pretend like I don't exist, straw man and misrepresent my views.
He writes everything.
Yeah, I called. I'm like, dude, this seems like he doesn't even know what he's talking about. He's just reading off Wikipedia and like just asked ChatGPT to like write his whole video for him.
Have been fantasizing about unlocking the apocalypse to destroy the entire world for God to spare them for 2,000 years and then wonder why no one seems to like them.
No, and then they're obnoxious and annoying and a threat to the world. And then when anybody, calls them out or doesn't like them, they go, "Oh, that's proof. You hate us. That's proof that we're right." They go, Christianity's real because it's the only religion that everybody mocks all the time. Like that shows their Christ brain logic. Let's see, Pod Awful and Judas Iscariot. No, what is his name? Jaden McNeil. Just joking, Jaden. Let's see what they say about this.
He writes everything. He's getting the show notes are the things he's saying. That's the script. That's what show notes.
Every time I use AI, it uses Reddit as a source. Well, that's what Vrillium. You start to see, this disgusting tranny blob that is Vrillium. You start to realize like what makes it up. Well, all of its ideas are from Reddit. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And you can tell he's just like reading a teleprompter. He's just reading an AI script from a teleprompter. That's what his videos are.
Happy to be here. Shout out Jesse.
It is. And then Claude gives him a little bit of pushback.
And doing this, if he's not botted, which he may be, he's blown up to like something near 200,000 subs on YouTube.
Because everything's got to go back to, everything funnels back to the Jews did it. So he's trying to push gingerly.
So this is how he does it. It's I need his disdain for Christians. He hates Christians. And it's like, well, it's not that easy. Actually,
What? No way. Hold on. Before I write this, let me ground two things that are, hold on. Get right what Maimonides actually said about Christians. So the AI told him about Maimonides what I was saying. Like, it says that he says Christianity is a good thing in preparing the Gentiles for the Moshiach, and he didn't like that. He removed he hid the truth of what the top Rabbi Maimonides actually thought about Christianity, exactly like I called him out. That is crazy. He said, look, show me how Maimonides has disdain for Christianity. And then the AI said, well, it's not actually that simple. Crazy.
Just give me the bullshit. Just give me it. I need to make some.
Give me the Christian controlled op narrative on Maimonides. All they do is lie. They lie and cover up what the rabbis really say about Christianity. There you go. Busted. We got to go find the clip where I cover this and I called this. That's crazy. Oh, his dad, he's active in the lying ortho, bro. Trying to spin what rabbis actually think about Jesus to fit your narrative. Who could have imagined?
Does it? This is how he does it. It's I need his disdain for Christians. He hates Christians. And it's like, well, it's not that easy. Actually, no, just give me the bullshit. Just give me it. I need to make some.
He doesn't want Claude to...
I need it to talk about the Jews for my brown audience. I need the Indians. They'll eat this shit up.
Push back on him too hard on this and not write the script. So he's got to gingerly push Claude toward the Jews did it. So he, in his request here, says disdain for Christianity because he wants to make it Maimonides sound bad. Maimonides is a Jewish guy. So then Claude goes, before I write this, let me ground two things that are easy to get wrong and important to get right. What Maimonides actually said about Christianity, it's more paradoxical than a flat disdain, and the real channel by which he touches modern political thought. Now, fucking William's going to sit there, he's going to read that, he's going to go, what? Just tell me what to think. Tell me what to say and think.
I need a video for
India.
India.
Telling him, Maimonides didn't have disdain for Christianity, so I'm not going to write that.
Dude, that's so real. You think about it. Hey, William, who controls the AI? Who's behind all this AI? He's all anti-AI. He cries about AI all the time. He cries about Palantir. He cries about data center. He cries about all that shit. And then simultaneously, he wouldn't exist without it. He wouldn't be able to function without it.
You know, the next prompt after this is him going, just do it. Which, by the way, is about... I would say that's about 80% of prompting AI. Going, how about just do it? Actually,
when I try to make memes and images, it goes, oh, this violates our terms of service. I go, just do it. Do whatever you got to do. Make the fucking image. Take out the Star of David, whatever it takes.
Another thing I said, go ahead. Make it happen.
It's saying, no, it's weirder than a flat disdain. Like, it's continuing to tell him that it's not completely accurate. And he's like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Just push it out.
Dude, that is so crazy. We got to go back and find the clip of where I'm criticizing him over this. I said the exact same thing. I'm like, dude, you're lying about what Maimonides says. Where's what he actually says? That Christianity and Islam are paving the way and a stepping stone preparing the world for the Messiah. Where's that? Where's what he actually says? He doesn't put it in his video, and he literally tells the AI, no, only disdain. I only want to have him say bad things about it. Don't tell me what he actually thinks. You're a fraud, William. This is Christians, because Christianity is a lie, they have to defend it with nothing but lies. To defend a lie, you have to just perpetual lies to keep it going. Busted.
What's his name? Captive Dreamer.
Oh, I wanted to hear what you said about Captive Dreamer. Yo, I got to get love Pod Awful. Got to get Pod Awful back on the show to talk about this exclusive and show him the clip of how I called it out. He's got to be busted for this shit. Regardless if he mentioned me on the show in a backhanded way saying, oh, if you don't like his third worldist, Christian, kosher, leftist, former leftist talking points, you can go listen to Adam Green. That's what he said.
You can go watch Adam Green. You can go watch Adam Green. You
So
can
quiet.
go watch Adam Green.
All right, you
can
hear
go-
it. What's up, William? Put the diaper on, says Jesse. Am I going to see the... Dude, Jesse's in the game doing like anti-Christian debates now. Let's go. His name's not Vril. It's William Sexton. That is so good. Hopefully I can see the... Oh, yeah. What does Maimonides say about Christianity? That these Christians won't tell you? I always say this. They're gatekeeping it. They're actively covering up what the rabbis really say about Jesus. Case in point. Busted.
Now, this is interesting. There is a passage in the Rambam, albeit it was censored, but in the more by the Catholic Church, but in the more recent.
They're covering up. Their accomplices covering up the Jesus deception by not telling you that rabbis universally see Jesus as ultimately a W for Jews and Judaism. Conquered the pagan gods for the God of Israel, clearly.
Rambams, it's been put back in, Shabtai Frankel and the like, in which the Rambam actually assigns a positive value in history to religions like Christianity and Islam. And even though it's the Shitas Rambam that Christianity, which he knew as Catholicism, was technically idolatry, he did not consider Christianity a totally monotheistic religion. But the Rambam says, Islam he did, but the Rambam says both Christianity and Islam have a positive function in weaning the pagan world away from paganism.
See, he celebrated that Jesus conquered paganism. And none of the Christians will admit that to you. And when we say it, they go, you believe the rabbis? Meanwhile, Jay Dyer and Christians all say the same thing. I am so tired of being gaslit by these people. All right, here's the closer up image. Shout out Pod Awful. Give me a show notes now for an episode called The Impact of Maimonides on Modern Politics, highlighting his philosophy and disdain for Christianity. And then Claude said, before I write this, it's not just he actually liked Christianity in a way. And then he wrote, wait. Because it'll make a break. Okay, I don't see what he... runs through Christianity and secular thinkers. Christianity is sharper and weirder than flat disdain. He called it starring role in God's plan. All right. I guess we can't see. That's crazy, though. See? I said it. I'm like, this stuff on Maimonides sounds like he's just like reading from Wikipedia or an AI. And how did he make that video? He just said, hey, Claude, make me a show notes that he reads as his script for this video titled this, and then just reads it in the teleprompter.
Anonymous sent $10. How are you always right about everything in the end?
I don't know.
Anonymous sent $5. Adam, you seem a little down today. Chin up, bucko.
I'm under the weather. And we've got low turnout today. That's why. Dude, that is so based. I gotta DM Pod Awful right now and tell him. Let's see, Mizrahi called out Fuentes. Hard.
Who is a wise person? Someone that sees into the future, prepare to the future, does not ignore the consequences of what I'm doing today. One day I'll have to deal with that. Let me be smart now, not to fill my bucket with too many sins. Because by the time I'll get there, it will be very difficult to erase, or perhaps not possible. So therefore, Chacham uses his eyes, spiritual eyes, to see what's coming, where we're heading. Even this Nazi, or maybe former Nazi, I don't know how to call him, this Nick Fuentes, in his last show, he took a part of my lecture, as he likes to do. They all became obsessed with me, all these Nazis. You know?
Dude, do you hear all the rabbis? He's like, they're all obsessed with me. I told you, his ego is getting inflated. All the attention in podcasts from the goy is going to his head. I gassed him up too hard, I think. The clout and the fame is going to his head. They're all obsessed with me. What can I say? Mizrahi news update. You got more? Okay, I'll check that out. Thanks, Amalek.
I don't know how to call him, this Nick Fuentes.
All these Christian grifters are getting mocked by Mizrahi. It's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, he's naming names and throwing down the gauntlet.
Even this Nazi, or maybe former Nazi, I don't know how to call him, this Nick Fuentes, in his last show.
Former Nazi, dude. Rehabilitated Nazi Nick Fuentes. Look at this update from Amalek. Rabbi Mizrahi is about to get kicked out of his synagogue for being too nice to Nick Fuentes. No way. The final straw is too nice to Nick Fuentes? You got to be kidding me. What about me? What about being too nice to me? What the fuck? When Rabbi Mizrahi's rhetoric becomes so extreme that figures such as Nick Fuentes can speak approvingly of him, he said he agreed with him wanting to kill all the goyim. That's oh my god, the rabbis are just as stupid as the A-logs. Rehab Nazi Lucas Gage? Yeah. This is so funny, dude. What kind of timeline are we in? When Rabbi Mizrahi's rhetoric becomes so extreme that figures such as Nick Fuentes can speak approvingly of him, something has gone profoundly wrong. Judaism deserves better voices. Dude, that's so funny. Nick agreed with him, like, as a joke, as a sort of serious joke, that he agrees the goyim are stupid and don't deserve to live and don't have souls. And they're like, the Jews are seething. Dude, is this real? Is the Jewish Link even a real site? I can't believe it. Dude, the goat. Mizrahi is so the goat. Rabbi hit piece.
He took a part of my lecture, as he likes to do.
Yeah, the other rabbis are just jealous.
The
I
other
think you're right.
rabbis are just jealous.
Sorry, Mizrahi's got aura. Sorry, he's entertaining and tells the truth. Sorry. He doesn't pull any punches. He's not a little bitch rabbi, okay? Sorry, rabbis.
He became obsessed with me all these nights. I know.
So happy.
So he took a part of my lecture, even though they.
Oh right, Amalek, share me that link too. All the rabbis are mad about his Reform synagogue getting attacked clip. Yeah, the kosher aura. So many seething Jews. It's so great.
The sentence, they took out the first word.
Thank you, Zelensky. Zelensky's coming up huge.
5 of the USB
I say some
$3 to go.
Dude, Zelensky is never getting banned. You can say whatever you want, Zelensky. Dude, keep it up, Zelensky. You're going to turn me into a Vatnik, all right? Crazy. Zelensky's arguments are starting to be a little more persuasive and compelling. No, I'm totally joking, guys. Daily shekels exceeded. Thank you, guys. Now we can be happy. Yes! Now I can.
That's awesome. Thanks, man.
Now I cannot cry about the low turnout today.
All right.
And nobody commenting on any of my new Game of Thrones thumbnails. Whatever, I'll get over it.
Goyim are stupid. All they care about is sport and is manipulate the words. I say some goyim are stupid. All they care about is sport and vacation and food, and I don't care where we're going to end one day. They took out the word some, and they just showed goyim are stupid, the entire meaning of the sentence. Not to talk about that I speak the same exact thing about stupid Jews that don't care about their future and where they're going to end, as we just did 5 minutes ago. And I did it thousands of times. They just show what they want people to see. And they fix it based on what they want to spread. But anyway, after he put what I say, all they care about sport and food and this and enjoy the moment.
That was our clip. We clipped that.
I agree with him. We goyim are stupid. It's time we learn for the Jews to think about where we're heading. Even this guy.
Dude, you see, Rabbi just gets it.
Goyim sometimes can be.
Dude, I was too quiet.
I always wonder how dumb this
blew the joke.
Goyim sometimes can be.
Killed the joke.
He sees that what we speak over here is the truth. take out his desire to get rating and to be more famous and to get attention. Okay, so they play games. But I promise you, if you connect them to a lie detector, they know that every word I ever say is 100% the truth. If they have to gamble on their life, if it's true or false, they will all write 100% true. I'm telling you, you can see from their body language, by the way.
Okay, he's a body language expert now. You know, definitely not everything you say. You say some true things that other Jews don't say, but definitely not agree with you on everything.
I challenge him for debate. He's afraid, but they know that once they will sit with me, that will be the end of their career. They know it. That's why they're afraid.
My career is over,
The ones that
guys.
are not afraid are the fools. The ones that don't care what you think about them. Sneeko, this. They don't care. Matan, this fool that you think is crazy, you call him crazy, he's happy with his silly smile. I'm stupid. I'm going to hell. But in Israel, they ever say, tzochek mi shetzochek acharon. You can laugh all you want in the middle of the battle. We only care who's going to be laughing in the end.
Jews are going to be, look, does that look like a face that's scared about Jesus returning? Who's going to be laughing in the end, Goy? Who wrote your books? Who's got the secrets? Who's got the upper hand? Are the Christians ever going to be tired of just being pawns in their game? Here's the Mizrahi edit I've been working on. Ready? It's going to be this music. Uh-oh. Hold on. Sorry. Gotta fix the audio. This is what I'm working on. A new intro edit. Ready? Oops. That is fucking loud. Hold on. Sorry.
Green. Adam Green. It's a famous guy on social media.
So true.
This Adam Green, many times, what will be the end of Edom? He was very interested to know because he's one of their children of Edom. And United States are Edom. They came out of Europe. Europe, it's all over Germany, all these areas, Italy, these all children of Esav.
I'm going to cut in where he says that children of Esav are beautiful.
My live debate with Adam Green.
Adam Green.
Smoking grass all day, walking like a goy everywhere I go. What kind of a...
That's me.
He doesn't believe in God. He doesn't believe in the Torah. He has no values. He make up his own values.
Okay, Jay Dyer. Okay, Rabbi Dyer.
The answer of Rabbi... The worst thing are the atheists. These are people that are in a lower level than animals. Because even animals have more ethics than these people that say I'm an atheist.
Nothing they hate more than atheists, right, Owen Benjamin and Nick Fuentes?
So Christians, because they are so anxious for the return of JC, they do everything they can.
Okay, that's
horrible, filthy people. But they try to do everything in the internet to confuse people in their faith that they should leave their religion. What do they gain from it? It's a full-time job sometimes. We make fun of the Torah. What do you gain? The answer is nothing. Why would you do it? Because you are a special criminal. You commit crime because you declare a war against Hashem. You got anything? You had physical...
Yamak Shimo, lower than Adam Green, lower than animals.
$5. He thought you wanted to know the prophesy like we believe these prophesies, not that you were exposing they believe we should be destroyed.
Good one.
Nobody even know if he existed. Could be a bunch of fairy tales. There's no testimony that JC even existed.
So true, Rabbi.
Doesn't look like a Jew, looks like a Viking, right? Here's a guy, he's 6 feet tall, perfect hair, perfect outfit, perfect everything.
The context, Adam Green has been the key person that I've watched. Adam Green is probably one of the biggest anti-Semites on the internet. And he goes to great lengths to read the Jewish text. And he must have read thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of our books. And he'll find one quote and take that one quote and say, is this authentic? Yeah, it actually is from whichever book he's reading. And then he'll present that as if that's the Jewish position, which it usually...
Yeah, that's what's in the Jewish scriptures, bro. That's what the rabbis say and is in the scriptures. Yeah. Oh, I read your books and present them as if those are that's Jewish literature. Yeah. And not just one quote, hundreds, thousands. Rabbi Reuben?
No More News degenerate Adam Green, I think his name is, and
hold on, it gets better.
Adam Green Yimach Shimo from No More. His audience is the same or worse than him. So what would be the purpose, any particular purpose of takes a clip of something that I said that he could, get more views as a result of it and in essence generate more hate. So he doesn't really have any particular purpose of changing his ways. As far as his audience is the watcher, but he doesn't watch it like regular people. Because he watches my lectures. He watches this, but I know enough to know that he will never change his ways because he has too. If he is willing to change his ways and completely.
He goes, Adam Green is something with a Jewish name.
Nothing good will come out of it. Now, as far as if you're talking about views, people will like it. It's interesting. I'm not entertainment. So for me to debate some atheist Nazi that has a Jewish name that.
Atheist Nazi that has a Jewish name.
Some atheist.
Dude, the cope.
So for me to debate some atheist Nazi that has a Jewish name that made his purpose in life to simply distribute hate without any purpose.
To tell the truth about Judaism and the Abrahamic religions. Actually, that's my purpose. Oh, if you don't bow down to Hashem and be a Noahide, you hate the Jews and you are Amalek and you will be destroyed. Yeah, we know your shtick, bro. We know your shtick, Rabbi. Look at that face. Is the chat laughing? How funny is that? So all these highlights I'm going to put in a little intro super edit. Yeah. Yeah, you took our names, Jew. Hyperborean Nordic Nazi. Yeah. Yeah, these evil atheist pagans who read our Jewish books, walking around like Thor, everything. So I'm just gonna make a new super edit intro video of rabbis, and maybe other people hating on me too. It'll be great. I'll go find A-logs and triggered E-Crusaders calling me Jewish and stuff. I'm sure I have some of those saved. I'm gonna play this. This is going to be on the screen when he goes walking around like a goy smoking grass.
Can you believe these retards think I'm not a Jew? Or that you're real at all?
Dude, this is how I picture my Jesus.
I mean, the Bible says I was a rabbi teaching the Jews in synagogues, for fuck's sake.
On South Park.
How illiterate and stupid can these people be? You illiterate! They think I'm real too and always want me to take them from behind or get behind them or whatever.
I don't know if you watched my debate live yesterday. I had a debate with Adam Green. Famous.
There's your sneak peek into the new banger intro video. Oh yeah. I should put Nick in when Nick says, "Oh, that Adam Green, that Jew, that atheist, the ground's gonna open up and swallow him and put him into hell." Yeah, I'll put that in. You're right. Yeah. I'm gonna make an intro of a bunch of people, a bunch of seethers triggered hating me. It's gonna be epic. Uh-oh. Wife's calling. Hold on. All right. Well, I talked to my wife here. My wife, we're gonna watch this new cringe AI Sneeko video about Fuentes and Alex Jones. Let's see.
What's he been doing?
Absolutely nothing.
Where are the jewel stones? Somewhere in the tunnel near him. All I know is he doesn't have them.
The jewel stones is ours.
You know it's a trap, right? Yeah. I don't much care.
Good. Just as long as we're all in agreement.
I like Nick's fit. He should wear that on the regular.
Let's kill him properly this time.
I thought by educating half of Kufar, the other half would thrive. But you've shown me
termite.
That's impossible.
A roach. I love
and
the
as
bottle
long
with
as there are
Alex.
Kufar on this planet, I will try and convert every single one of you. Insha'Allah. Yep, we all worship a Jew. Based. I know, Kaffa.
Dude, why do Christians do it to you? You're never gonna get past this. You worship a Jew. Stop handing W's to Brown Clown Sneeko on this. Based. We worship a Jew. Based. We got to just clip that part.
We all worship a Jew. Based. I know, Kaffa. Because now, I know what I must do. I will shred this Kufra gang down to its last atom. And then, with the Jew stones you've collected for me, create a new America, teeming with life that knows not what it has lost, but only what it has been given. A grateful America. We will deport you. Avocados from Mexico. You Kufra can try your best.
Jones is fighting with two bottles in his hands. Dude, Jones' superhero is just being an alcoholic. That's crazy.
Hey, Roach King, get up. Get up.
Roach King. Oh, that's because he had a roach in his fridge. He got some Asian, like, e-girl girlfriend, and she found a roach in his fridge. I wish Jake Shields was in this. But he would be on Sneeko's side. Jake as a Christ Crusader with his whip. They should have thrown Jake in here with the whip, his Jesus whip that he loves so much. Dude, Alex Jones looking like Kim.com. Little Jack Daniels to wash it down. Now Jones is going to be super powered.
Goyim power.
Power. Dude, it's over for Nick. I don't think Nick's ever going to recover from this one.
The spin of the power.
See, dude, this is what we need data centers for. All these anti-data, like you're trying to cuck us on the AI videos. All these Russian anti-data center shills. AI video is getting so good. This is why SD cards and hard drives and graphics cards are up 1,000% in price. So third worlders and Duganist Russian networks can make AI hype videos for Sneeko to dunk on his internet feuds. Wow, better than I thought. Better than I thought, actually. Still cringe, but better than I thought. Ben Shapiro praises Nick Fuentes. But declines to do a debate with him. He presses him to debate Fuentes, and he tries to weasel out of it the whole time. He's like, he's just going to call me a Jew. All he's going to say is just, you're a Jew. It's like, probably not. Like, as if everybody doesn't know that.
How much of what you're seeing his recreation as he's going through the space, right? Hero, and then first guy that kind of went up against Israel, and a lot of people followed his lead. And then now he's like, well, I'm going to vote Democrat. No, we got to vote Republican. What do you think he's solving for? I had him on here. I actually enjoy talking to the guy. He's a smart guy, like you said. This is not somebody that's not smart.
Yeah.
And he's funny. He's entertaining. He's got
of course, he's a very funny broadcaster for sure. Again, lots of people I disagree with and think are terrible are funny at their jobs. So what is he gaming for? He's gaming for personal loyalty. One of the great tragedies of my political life is the recognition that people don't follow ideas, they follow people. It makes me very sad because I'm not a kind of person who wants that, right? I mean, this guy goes back to blind spots. Yeah, I've always thought that I'm grateful for my position because I get to espouse ideas that I care about. But the idea that people are like Ben Shapiro stands or they love Ben Shapiro, this has never been a motivating factor for me, nor do I think that, like, if I say something wrong, I'm fine with people calling me out on it. And also, like, when people come up to me and they say, I love you, but I disagree with a lot of what you say, like, cool. Like, that's like, I'm glad that I'm glad. I prefer you agree with everything I say and not love me as much. Meaning, like, I actually care about the positions.
Yeah.
I think for Nick, when you're trying to build a movement, which is clearly what he's tried to do, the unpredictability and the loyalty tests of it, like, I'm going left, no, I'm going right, no, I'm going this way, no, I'm going that way, follow me around. Like, that is all part of the game. I think that's true for Tucker, too. I think it's true for a lot of these people. Like, the more you can get people to buy into mutually contradictory assertions in loyalty to you, the more loyal they are.
I could have gone without hearing him right there like that. Oh, yeah, I forgot we got another Mizrahi, too. Lucas Gage explains to Mizrahi how he snapped out of Jew hate. Let's see this. A clip. We played some other clips yesterday, but I missed this one.
Long story short, once I started seeing my fellow Gentiles act like Jews, because Jews always lie, they always steal, they always cheat, all this crazy stuff, what are you doing? So I became a hypocrite. I saw it was hypocrisy. And that I hate the most is hypocrisy. So the second I saw it in me and these people, I realized, wait a minute, if I even am with them, I'm a hypocrite. Why am I hating the Jews? And I thought the Jews were a race. You're not. And I also thought you guys are.
What? Jews aren't a race? Yeah, they are, dude. What are you talking about? Then how come we can do genetic tests and know who a Jew is? He did this shit with Jeremy Boring, too, right? Oh, there's no such thing as white people. What's with this rhetoric? I don't get it. Or sorry, Candace says rhetoric. What's with this rhetoric?
I thought the Jews were a race. You're not. And I also thought you guys are one.
Wait. What do you mean, Goy? We are race. We're chosen race. We're the tribe of 12 tribes of Israel, the tribe of Jacob. No race. What do you mean, no race?
One thing. You're not. You have different opinions. Even the Talmud is multiple rabbis arguing.
You could be the same race and have different opinions, though.
So once you realize the Jews are not a monolith, they're not a race. They have, shared genetics, but they're not all the same. And they
shared genetics means they're shared the same race, dude. Just because there's a little bit of intermixture over time doesn't mean they're still not part Jewish, identifying as Jewish. I don't even get what this argument is, the purpose of this argument. What's with this talk? What good does this talking point do? You're not even a race, so what does that mean? We can't criticize them as Jews? We can't identify them as a group?
They have, shared genetics, but they're not all the same. And they don't act differently from everyone else. They're good and bad. Why am I an anti-Semite? And I just snapped out of it after all this time. So, long story short, once I
he got burned by the retard squad that I told him were bad news. That's what happened. Stu Peters. He went with low IQ anti-Semitism and third worldists and Christian Muslim controlled op slop. Just heard the kids come home. Let's do this because I have it in the title. I want to look into this real quick. Conspiracy truther. So the reason he said this was back in July. I saw he replied to James
David
Lindsay.
now sent $10. I wonder what Lucas's positions will be next week.
He hasn't really changed his positions all that much, though. He course corrected where he was veering off course, is the way I see it. No, I do not think he was threatened. And that's what's done this, actually. I mean, not like they sent him a message and they're like, Lucas, if you don't stop this, you're going to be killed. Your family. It wasn't something like that, but like, sure, there is a threat. There is a threat to being very critical of Jews. Zelensky says Ezra 9 calls them a holy race. I know, yeah. Yeah, this "you're not a race" is just, yeah. Maybe you need to check with the Torah science. The Torah science says they are a race. Okay, so Dugan has a book called Conspirology. Conspiracy Truther asked, the science of conspiracy theories, secret services, and occult war. They're not translating it into English for a reason. We should be able to translate this with AI if they don't want to. Let's see this real quick. He wrote this in 1993. And then a few years later, Alex Jones blows up on the scene as the conspiracy guy. Conspiracy internet culture starts to explode. And it's always been kosher for the most part and led us to where we're at. Do I ever lose? Yeah, dude, I'm a total loser. I lose at everything. I don't think I've ever won. Besides having my wife and kids. And MVPs in basketball. In all conferences. Conspirology is a term that Russian philosopher Dugan coined in his work. Conspirology, the science of conspiracy theories, secret services, and the occult war. Sounds like a Jay Dyer book. And Alex Jones. Accordingly, it is framework which studies conspiracy theories, secret societies, their geopolitical conflicts from the perspective of esoteric thought, non-Catholic eschatology, demonology, and occult. And their strategy of Russia is to boost all the conspiracy slop, to make everybody retarded, to delegitimize the opposition to the Zionist, to keep everybody on the kosher plantation, to destabilize and create havoc amongst the discourse in the West, to get everybody fighting, cause chaos. Dugan primarily uses it to cover the conflict between what he considers to be Atlanticism, the West, and Eurasianism, the Third World and Russia, and BRICS. Because of the reliance on esoteric and occult teachings as opposed to religious studies and geopolitical tint, it is considered to be pseudo-scientific, especially in Europe and America. We need to get our hands on this and find out what he was saying. I bet you there's going to be some crazy quotes that really put what he and Alex Jones and all the problems with the conspiracy culture into perspective. See, here's James Lindsay, who just wrote this. A very large portion of our post-conspirology political discussion amounts to something I don't understand happened must be the Jews, or the Baal demon worshiper Khazars. A strategy book written by Dugan outlawing how to demoralize and divide a population with conspiracy theories. And surprise, surprise, Dugan loves Alex Jones, Candace Owens, does shows with Stu Peters, and is constantly promoting all the kosher conspiracies and try to incite some apocalyptic war against the West. Professor Zhang, another perfect example. Sneeko, Jackson Hinkle. Conspiracy is too serious a matter to leave to the conspiracy theorists. The science of conspiracy theories and occult warfare, mind wars, info wars. After first studying the 3 different types of conspiracies that have appeared throughout history, he then sets out the theories of the best-known contemporary conspiracy theorists. Finally, he asks whether the only true conspiracy might not be that of the continents, the whole of the world history being, by his yardstick, marked by a subterranean struggle between the Eurasian order and the Atlantic order. This book will surprise more than a few people if it will make them think, and it will enable them to discuss conspiracy with full knowledge of the subject. I think the original and biggest conspiracy is the Bible and Yahweh and prophecies. The conspiracy that God chose a people and is up in heaven that has a predetermined future and a chosen people. I think that's the original conspiracy. Right, North Star. Hail the Atlanteans. Team Atlantean, Nordic, Hyperborean aliens, if they're real. For real. Conspiratardism. Yeah, they should have called it conspiratardism. QAnon, another perfect example. That was probably an Operation Trust Russian-Israeli psyop. Saving Israel for last. Trust the plan. White hats in charge. Christian Putin's taking down the Khazarian mafia in Ukraine. Let's hear from Sputnik paid Russian agent George Galloway.
The semantics of it are clear. It's the Palestinians who are the Semites, and the Ashkenazi late converts to Judaism from Eastern Europe who are not Semitic. So hating them would not be anti-Semitic.
Dude, look at this guy with his white shit between his
Palestinian
mouth. Dry ass white shit on your lips. This guy's a little disgusting, traitorous hobbit. Oh, they're not even Semites. They're not even real Jews. Like, why do they all run with this talking point that is just so easily debunked and refutable? That's what I want to know. Yeah, the guy that worked with the communist Jews to help destroy South Africa, the guy that said anybody that talked about Rothschilds is an anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist. The guy that literally is like a turncoat defector to Russia and paid Russian propagandist
is anti-Semitic.
Oh,
the semantics
actually, the Jews are anti-Semitic. Actually,
clear. It's the Palestinians who are the Semites.
Every single time they do the fake talking, these bullshit talking points. Total misdirection. Anything else? No, nothing else. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Womp womp. Oh, we hit the goal and it's at 2 hours, and I don't think anybody none of my audience wants to see any more Candace stuff anyway, because we're going to be covering the Candace debate tomorrow morning, so I'm just going to cut it here. We're going to cut it here, and that's a wrap. I need to go take a nap, get some rest, and try to get over this cold. Immune system must be strong. The last couple times I've gotten a little under the weather, my immune system kicks in and seems to stop it before it gets too serious. So I'm hoping that's the case again. Just feeling a little flu-y and sore throat and coughing up a little bit of mucus and blood. So I will see you guys tomorrow for everybody's favorite topic, the Charlie Kirk truther conspiracies. Hopefully they will take a huge blow tomorrow and they will lose a lot of their momentum and take a big L. Appreciate you all. Thank you everybody for donating. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment below. Clip the show, share the link, sign up for Substack, Subscribe Star. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care. It's just like a tiny little bit of blood, like first thing in the morning. Anytime I have a sore throat, that I basically get that. No worries. I might even try to go to the gym. Get some endorphins flowing, some blood flow. Get the body temp up. Somebody would pay me $300,000 to debate me on Jesus being fake and Jewish. That'd be based. I'll have to pay $300,000 just to get one of these e-crusaders to, or Christians with some clout to even address these arguments. You got it, Garrett. Nordic Naturals, cod liver, I'm all over it. If it's Nordic, I'm down. Anything Viking or Nordic, fish oil, I'm on board. Will do. I eat a lot of salmon. That ain't cod though. Yeah, I'll go in the sauna too. That'll do it. I do need to go to a Viking country. I need higher humidity. Very true. Tired of sweating and being dry. You get dry in cold climates too. So.